I used to work the overnight shift at a small gas station just off the highway. Most nights were quiet. A few truckers, a couple of locals grabbing cigarettes, nothing strange. One night around 2 a.m., a guy walked in wearing a heavy coat even though it was warm outside. He kept his hood up, and I couldn't see his face. He didn't say anything when I greeted him. He just walked slowly through the aisles like he was looking for something specific. After a few minutes, I noticed he wasn't buying anything. He was just circling. Every time he passed the counter, I felt his eyes on me even though I couldn't see them through the hood. I pretended to stock shelves just so I wouldn't have to stand still. Finally, he walked up to the counter and placed a single bottle of water on it. When I told him the price, he didn't talk. He just tilted his head a little, almost like he was confused. Then he whispered, "Do you lock the doors when you're alone?" I tried to laugh it off, but he didn't smile. He just repeated the question, word for word, same tone. I said yes, even though we never locked them during business hours. He didn't move. He didn't pay. He stared at me without breathing. Then suddenly, he turned around and walked out, leaving the bottle behind. I watched him through the window. He didn't get in a car. He didn't walk toward the road. He stood right outside the door, facing the glass, hood still covering his face. For at least 10 minutes, he stayed like that. Not moving. Not speaking. Just watching me. When a truck finally pulled in, he walked away toward the dark field next to the station. The driver came inside, and I asked if he saw where the guy went. He said he hadn't seen anyone at all. Even the security camera facing the door only showed me staring out the window. No man. No hood. Nobody there. The next morning, my manager called saying someone had carved words into the wooden wall beside the entrance. They said, "You should lock the doors." And the wood was cut so deep it looked like it was done with something sharp. Something strong. We never figured out who did it, but for weeks afterward, I kept catching a shadow outside the windows around closing time. And every time I stepped outside after midnight, the same words whispered in my head. About 3 years ago, I was covering an overnight shift for a coworker at a rural gas station. Around 1:30 a.m., I heard a soft crying sound from outside. I checked the cameras and saw a woman crouched behind pump 6. She was hugging her knees and shaking. I grabbed my phone just in case and went outside. When I approached her, she didn't look up. She kept crying quietly, like she was trying not to be heard. I asked if she needed help or if I should call someone, but she didn't answer. Then she lifted her head, and I saw her face was covered in dirt, like she had been crawling somewhere. She whispered, "He's coming." That was it. No name. No explanation. Just, "He's coming." I told her to come inside where it was safe. She stood up slowly and followed, but every few steps she kept looking over her shoulder. Once inside, she waited by the counter while I locked the doors. I asked her who she was running from, but before she could answer, the lights flickered. The cameras glitched to static. And then we both heard it, footsteps outside. Slow footsteps, heavy, but steady, moving around the pumps. The woman grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't let him see me." I checked the windows but didn't see anyone. The cameras stayed frozen. The footsteps circled the building twice, then stopped right outside the front door. I couldn't see anyone through the glass, but the woman covered her mouth like she was trying not to scream. Then the doorknob moved. Slowly. Like someone was testing it. After a full minute, the pressure on the doorknob stopped. The footsteps faded away. And then the cameras snapped back on. I checked every angle, but no one was there. Not a car. Not a shadow. Nothing. When I turned back to the woman, she was gone. I didn't see her leave. The doors were still locked. And the only thing she left behind was a dirty handprint on the counter. The next night, Pump 6 was roped off by the company. They said the ground underneath had collapsed into some kind of drainage tunnel. The weird part? The tunnel led into the woods behind the station. And several people swear they've heard crying near that tree line after midnight ever since. I used to work at a 24-hour station right off the interstate. We got a lot of weird traffic, but one night stands out more than any other. Around 3 a.m., a beat-up red pickup pulled in. The driver didn't get out. He just sat there with the engine running. That wasn't unusual for truckers trying to rest, so I didn't think much of it. But after 10 minutes, the engine shut off. Then the headlights. Then the parking lights. The cab went completely dark. I waited for the door to open. It didn't. The truck just sat there in complete darkness. After 15 minutes, I went outside to check if the driver was okay. When I got close, I realized the windows were covered in newspaper from the inside. Every window. Even the windshield. It looked like someone was trying to keep light out or keep people from looking in. I knocked on the driver's side door. No answer. But as I leaned closer, I heard something. A soft tapping from inside the cab. Not like someone knocking. More like someone lightly hitting the inside of the door with their fingernail. Then it moved to the back window. Then the side again. I stepped back. The tapping continued, moving around the cab like someone crawling from seat to seat. I called the police because I thought someone might be in danger. When the officers arrived, they opened the door. The truck was empty. Nothing inside but an old jacket and a pair of boots. No driver. No signs of struggle. No footprints in or out. The cops told me the truck had been reported missing 2 states away. The registered owner had disappeared a week earlier. They towed the truck, and I never heard anything else. The strange part? 2 nights later, around the same time, a red pickup drove past the station slowly. No plates. No headlights. And as it passed, I heard the same soft tapping on the glass door of the station even though no one was standing there. I worked at a small fuel stop that closed at 2 a.m. One night, I was doing my usual sweep before shutting everything down when a man knocked on the locked door. He looked panicked, so I opened it just enough to ask what he needed. He said he was running out of gas and begged me to let him fill up, even though we were technically closed. I told him I'd turn on one pump for him, and he thanked me over and over like he was terrified of something. The man filling gas in a hurry, he filled up fast and hurried inside to pay. When he handed me the cash, his hands were shaking. I asked if he was okay. He said, "I just need to get back on the road before he finds me." I asked who he was talking about, but before he could answer, he froze. His eyes locked on the window behind me. I turned around, but nobody was there. He whispered, "He follows me when I'm alone." I tried to calm him down, but he backed away suddenly and said, "You should stay inside tonight. Don't walk to your car alone." Before I could respond, he rushed out, got into his truck, and sped off. A minute later, the lights flickered. The air felt heavy, like the whole building shifted. Then I heard someone breathing behind me. Slow, deep breaths. I turned. No one there. The door was locked. Every camera showed an empty store. The breathing grew louder, like someone was standing inches from my ear. I ran to the office and locked myself inside until the sun came up. When my manager arrived, I checked the cameras again. Every timestamp between 2:07 and 2:12 a.m. was corrupted. Glitching static. But through the static, one frame froze clear as day. A tall shape standing directly behind me at the counter.